release of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, the Ant-Man trilogy has concluded, so I decided that it's time to rank all 3 Ant-Man films from the worst to the best. This list was actually very hard to make because my 2 and 3 could interchange, and honestly, tomorrow, they might be different, but today they're what they are today. And of course, you don't have to agree with me, this is just my opinion. Be sure to leave your ranking of the Ant-Man movies down in the comments below. Let's hop into it.
You thought you could win.
If you guys watched my review, this shouldn't come as a surprise to many, but at the bottom is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I want to preface by saying this movie's not bad, it's just pretty incredibly average, and for me, the most average MCU films end up at the bottom because there's that many good ones. There's a lot in this movie I think worked. I think the effects were really good. There's some shaky moments like MODOK and some points when you can tell they're running through the volume, but for the most part I think this movie looked very good. Of course, Kang the Conqueror was an incredible villain with an incredible performance by Jonathan Majors. Hank Pym gets some time to shine. Janet Van Dyne steals the show. I actually really liked what they did with Cassie Lang. I thought she worked, and I unashamedly love MODOK. The issues lie with basically everything else. I think the rebellion subplot was not as fleshed out as it should have been. They should have either taken them out entirely or given them more time to shine instead of devoting a bunch of scenes to a character who's obsessed with how many holes other people have. For a character who's in the title, Wasp does absolutely nothing in this movie despite a couple scenes where she helps Scott. And Scott Lang's character arc is non-existent in this movie. He starts it only wanting Cassie, he ends the movie only wanting Cassie. He never learns, he never grows, he never develops, he never has to make a sacrifice or change along the way of this story. A lot of these problems could have been alleviated if they just put in the original ending where Scott and Hope get stuck in the quantum realm at the end. Also, yes, the setup for Kang's defeat of the ants being able to come in and defeat him, that makes sense to me. I'm perfectly fine with that. The ants were a huge empire in the quantum realm and attacked him by surprise. My issue lies with the fact that Kang should not have been able to lose to Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is a man who's defeated Thor, and he lost to 2 normal people. That does not sit right with me, and it doesn't necessarily get me as excited for Avengers: The Kang Dynasty as it should. Some stuff I liked, a lot of stuff I didn't like, a lot of really good concepts that were just not given the time they needed to shine, and overall, Quantumania's biggest failing as a movie, in my opinion, is that in an attempt to go bigger, it loses all of the charm that made the first 2 movies work in the first place. We don't get fun shrinking and growing. Scott shrinks maybe 3 times in the movie. We don't get fun stuff like using a salt shaker as a weapon, or using a Pez dispenser as a weapon, or shrinking a car to the size of a Hot Wheel to evade other cars. We don't get the fun stuff like that that we got in the other Ant-Man movies. And that's the biggest sin that this movie commits. At number 2, our runner-up.
They have wings. Why would I go low?
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Really, the only reason that Ant-Man and the Wasp beats out Quantumania is because Ant-Man and the Wasp is focused on being an Ant-Man movie first, MCU tie-in second, whereas Quantumania is focused on being Avengers trailer first and sort of an Ant-Man movie second. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp wins just in that department, but I have just not, if not more issues with this one than Quantumania, weirdly enough. I don't think any of the 3 villains in this movie work. Ghost had the potential to be awesome, but she never becomes awesome. Goliath is just a huge wasted opportunity to not have a giant kaiju fight, and Sonny Birch is in this movie because we needed a chase scene. A very good chase scene, I might add. That 3rd act is really the thing that boosts this movie up a spot on this list, because that 3rd act chase through San Francisco with Ant-Man and Wasp growing and shrinking and using various things as weapons like a Pez dispenser, that's so unbelievably fun to me. I think Wasp gets a lot of time to shine in this movie, more time than Ant-Man actually. This is kind of the Wasp show because Ant-Man's suit is broken for a lot of the movie, and I don't really like what they did with Scott Lang in this movie. He's just kind of a blithering idiot walking through the movie with a broken suit, and that's not really what Ant-Man was in the first movie. They touch on Hank's dark side, which I like, and I love that this movie's not trying to be some crazy world-ending disaster. It's just 3 different groups of people all trying to get the same little building at the end while Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas walk through the quantum realm. The action in this movie's fun, and that's just enough to keep me entertained for its 2-hour runtime. So yes, it barely beats Quantumania. I guarantee on my full Marvel movie ranking, these two might be right one after the other, right next to each other, because I have just as many issues as positives with both of these movies, and they're both some of my least favorite MCU films.
You tried to hide your suit from me. Now, it's gonna blow up in your face and destroy everyone you care about.
But, of course, at number 1 is Ant-Man. So it's kind of weird, you know, each Ant-Man film is worse than the one before it, in my opinion. The first Ant-Man is so fun. It's got the drama when it needs it, the emotion when it needs it. It's so full of charm and heart. It's fun. It's got amazing action. It's got amazing jokes. I think this is one of the MCU movies where the jokes really lands the best. I always love that cut to Baskin Robbins after he says he has a degree in engineering or whatever so he can get any job he wants. I love the small nature of the story. Take out some of those forced MCU tie-ins, and I think we're really rocking and rolling with what might be one of the better MCU movies. Just the fact that the entire plot revolves around them needing a thief to go steal something from an evil businessman so that he won't accidentally destroy the world. The shrinking and growing is at its all-time best in this movie. The bathtub scene when he's first testing the suit, obviously the prison break is great, and the briefcase fight, and at the end of the movie, the third act, takes place in a little girl's bedroom on a toy Thomas the Tank Engine set where they're small so it looks like a full-size train to them when in reality it's really small. Oh yeah, and the suit. The suit's great in this movie. The Edgar Wright influence is really strong with this movie though. You can tell, even though he wasn't directing this movie, even though he wasn't on set for this movie, he just has a writing credit. It feels like he's ghost directing this movie. This feels more like an Edgar Wright movie than a Peyton Reed movie, but hey, it made the movie better. So there you guys go. That's my ranking of all 3 Ant-Man films. Let me know your ranking down in the comments below. Also leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. That's gonna be it. Have a great day, guys.